not ever come back to Atlantis.
There was a time when I wanted to meet my little brother more than anything. If only I had known what a maniac he would turn out to be.
You are not going to win this. A war is coming to the surface, whether you like it or not.
You know I can't let that happen.
Aquaman, rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX December 21st.
If you haven't seen Aquaman and you're into that sort of thing, you got to get out there and see it. This is the movie that, this is one of the most expensive and well invested in Christmas gifts of this season. This was a real knockout surprise. It's got to be the best DC movie, in my opinion, since at least Superman 2, which I know got a low rating. That one kind of caused a backlash. A lot of people liked it, a lot of people didn't. It got a low rating on the Internet Movie Database, but as far as 21st century contemporary comic book movies, especially DC comic book movies, which have had a few rough spots, this right here takes the cake. This is a comeback for the DC movies and Warner Brothers. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got tight pacing. It's got a good story. It's got a lot of comic book fun, and it's got a kind of noble but swaggering kind of hero, and it's got production design, costumes, and special effects and set design like nothing you've ever seen before. And what can I say? It's even got a little bit of Indiana Jones about it, and the cast is really good. James Wan, the director, has really knocked it out of the ballpark, and he has really, he has really helped save the Warner Brothers DC movies. It seems like Marvel movies tend to be more consistent about being at least pretty good, often very good, and DC has had a little bit less success. Not that their movies are as bad as a lot of people say, but And in this movie, it's got lots of action sequences without being plotless. And speaking of the cast, Patrick Williams at first glance, maybe even second glance, kind of looks like a young Julian Sands. And he looks really good. He also looks like someone that might have gotten the role of Aquaman in the past, because he's more Nordic blonde, looking like the traditional Aquaman. And of course, Jason Momoa does a good job physically and otherwise. There's a little bit of comedy relief without being too slapsticky or anything like that. But the movie is self-aware without being real parody-like. It's a comic book come to life on steroids, which is how it ought to be. The Aquaman TV pilot from about a decade-ish ago wasn't bad for what it was, but it was more down to earth because they probably had to be more budget conscious if it had gone to series. They would have had to produce an hour of it a week. So nothing wrong with that, but this right here is in a whole different league. Again, James Wan ought to really be proud of himself, and I'm not one of the Disney Star Wars haters, but I bet a lot of the people who are that like this movie probably think that this is at least more how the Star Wars Disney movies ought to be. So, what else can I say? You've got some visuals that at the very least remind me of The Abyss on steroids. Some were like Jacques Cousteau's Wet Dream through a kaleidoscope. Some of the CGI is staggering. I'd love to have seen this in IMAX. And what else could I say? The sidekick lady is kind of sexy and spunky. Kind of liked her voice too. It wasn't too high, And Nicole Kidman, I thought, is that Nicole Kidman? She's looking young. So another critic mentioned that somebody in here had de-aging makeup on. So I'm not sure if it was her or Willem Dafoe. Everybody looks pretty good. All due respect to Willem Dafoe, but even he looks good considering, not just his age, but And it's cool that they got him to be in this movie. That they were able to get him to be in this movie. And nobody seems to be picking up paychecks in this movie. They're all giving it their all. There's an interesting, if somewhat briefly seen, bad guy that's a pirate, and that made for a pretty cool beginning. So it'd be nice to see even more of him. He's one of these full of himself pirates, and of course Patrick Williams' character is full of himself. And if you've ever seen any kind of stories about Atlantis or anything like that, fantasies, whether it's cartoons, old cartoons, or anything like that, even the pretty good ones, I mean, this right here just blows it all away. It's like, I mean, it's epic, epic, epic. There's deep sea life and sea people all over the place, and just undersea and otherwise vistas that you'll never, ever, ever forget, along with a little bit of traveling, to Italy and all that. Not like in most superhero movies where, they have a lot of city-destroying fights and all that. That was another thing about Black Panther that made it kind of not too predictable. Not that much of it took place in the city, and the big battle didn't either, which is true about Avengers Infinity War. So this right here, Aquaman, I mean, what can I say? You've got to see this movie. It is well worth it. So this is George just telling you, I'll see you at the movies, and get out there and see this movie. Even if you have to pay, $12 or more to see it after the matinee.